A lot of agents say they want freedom, but the way they run their business gives them the exact opposite. They're always on. They're always reacting, always checking their phone, always one text away from their personal life getting hijacked. And look, I get it. I've been there because real estate will absolutely do that to you if you let it. I'm 44 years old. I've been in the business since 2002. And I'm still an active agent. I run a micro team. I personally sell over 50 homes a year. I've got a 9-month-old at home. I have a 3.5-year-old at home. I have a beautiful wife. I develop properties. I have real responsibilities. And after doing this for over 2 decades, here's what I can tell you. It's possible to build a serious business without letting it consume your whole life. It's possible to prioritize listings. It's possible to protect your evenings and weekends. It's possible to be at home for bedtime if you have a young family. And it's possible to do all of that without diminishing the quality of service you offer to your clients. In fact, in many cases, you give them better service. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I manage time and how I prioritize listings and why I'm home for bedtime every night, why I make work maybe one Saturday a month, and how I use Loom almost every day to move faster and communicate better. This is not theory. This is how I actually work. So let's get into it. I stopped confusing busy with being productive. See, one of the biggest mistakes agents make is thinking that being constantly available is what makes them great. It doesn't. It makes you exhausted. Early in my career, I made the same mistake that I see a lot of agents doing right now. I answered everything. I jumped on every call. I treated every question like it was urgent. I drove all over the city for things that could have been handled faster, a much easier way. And like a lot of agents, I told myself that being busy meant I was building something big. Not true. Busy and productivity, well, they're not the same thing. And once you've been in the business long enough, once you've got a family, once you start feeling the cost of being scattered, you see this very clearly. See, the real time management is not about doing more things. It's about deciding what actually matters, because every hour in your schedule is not equal. Every client request is not equal. Every task is not equal. And if you treat them all the same, your business will always feel heavier than it needs to be. That's when I got more disciplined. Not colder, not less committed, just more intentional. That changed everything for me. And by the way, I'm currently building a private community for residential real estate agents just like you, who want to scale without burning out. If you want more time, better systems, and a predictable business year over year, instead of this crazy feast or famine cycle that you're on, I'll drop a link below. No pressure, just something I'm building for agents like you who want to work smarter, not longer. All right, back to the good stuff. I prioritize listings. One of the clearest ways to manage my time is by prioritizing listings. That doesn't mean I don't work with buyers. Of course I do. But listings are a majority of how I structure my week. Why? Because listings create leverage. Listings give you visibility. Listing creates conversations. Listings create buyer leads. Listings create momentum. And listings create future opportunities. A strong listing does a lot more than just sit on the market. It creates business around it. And over the years, what I've learned is that if you want to run a strong business without running yourself to the ground, you need to spend more of your best time on high leverage activities. Now, listings are one of those activities. So when I look at my calendar, seller appointments, pricing strategy, listing prep, launch planning, negotiation, communication, and active sellers go top of the list, because those things move the business. A random call that could have been handled another way, well, that doesn't get the same priority. A low intent conversation going nowhere, that doesn't get premium calendar space for me. That's not being rude, that's being a professional. And I think a lot of agents know this, but they're afraid to operate this way because they think structure will make them seem less available. In my experience, the opposite is true. The more structure you have, the more confidence clients feel around you. I run a micro team, but I'm still in the trenches. And for me, this model works really well. It keeps things lean, it keeps communication tighter, it keeps the client experience stronger, and it lets me stay close to parts of the business that matter the most. I'm not trying to build some giant machine where I'm detached from the actual work. That's not what I want. I still really enjoy being in the trenches. I still like advising, pricing, strategy, and being directly involved where it counts. Because I'm not just talking about the stuff online. I'm actually right now in the trenches, like you, doing deals. I'm an active agent. I've been doing this since 2002, and I can tell you with complete confidence, you do not need to build a chaotic business to build a successful one. That idea is outdated. What you need is a business with standards, with priorities, with filters, with better communication that actually scales without wrecking your life. And yes, it's possible. I'm telling you that because I'm actually living it. I'm home for bedtime every single night. Our youngest, he's 9.5 months old. I have not missed a bedtime in 9.5 months. Now, our first child, he's 3.5 years old. The older he got, the more I'd skip out once a week to an evening appointment. Then with our second child, I said, I'm not doing that again. I'm going to be home for bedtime. Can I do it? And sitting here today, 9.5 months, I have not missed a bedtime, and I am a busy agent. I personally do over 50 deals a year, one a week. Majority of those are listings, but I still have a handful of buyers. I usually work with 1 or 2 buyers at any given time. It's important to stay in the trenches and make sure you understand what the buying side is doing as well as your listing side. So being home for bedtime every night, this is one of the biggest non-negotiables right now. That matters to me. I've got young kids. The years go fast, and I'm very aware I'm not getting the time back. So no, I'm not interested in building a business that looks successful from the outside, but costs me my actual life. That's not success to me. Now, is real estate perfectly predictable? Of course not. Sometimes there's a negotiation. Sometimes something really important comes up. Sometimes you need to jump in. Fine, I get it. But that should be the exception, not the operating system. And this is where a lot of agents lose control. They normalize constant interruption. They normalize last minute chaos. They normalize being available at all times. And then eventually they wonder why they feel burnt out, resentful, stretched thin. That's not a client problem. That's a business design problem. The business design is fixable. In a month, I maybe work 1 Saturday or Sunday a month. This doesn't mean nothing ever happens on the weekend. Real estate still moves. I still do deals on the weekend, but I'm not physically meeting with clients. Like the world we live in right now, there's e-signatures, there's Google Meet, Zoom calls, all of that. So I'm still working on the weekend, but I'm working at home when my kids are napping or when they're gone to bed or when they're at gymnastics or something like that. It's not that I'm physically dressed up, driving to an appointment, doing a CMA or something like that. Real estate still moves. Clients still have needs. Things come up, but I'm not building my business around sacrificing every Saturday or Sunday. And the reason why I can do that is because I try to do better work earlier. What do I mean by that? Well, I prepare earlier. I communicate earlier. I set expectations at the beginning. I solve problems before they become problems. And I use tools that save time. I don't leave every important conversation until the very last second. A lot of what agents call a part of the business is really just poor planning. That's the truth. Not a lot of us want to admit it, but poor planning creates fake urgency. Lack of clarity creates unnecessary follow-up. Weak communication, well, it creates confusion across the board, and confusion always eats time. So the goal is not to work harder. The goal is to work in a way that removes avoidable chaos. That's a huge difference. And once you start doing that, you realize how much stress in the business was never actually required in the first place. I use Loom almost every day. Loom has become one of the most useful tools in my business. I record probably 3 to 10 Loom videos every single day. And honestly, for the way I work, it's an absolute game changer because so many things in real estate do not need a live meeting. They need a clear explanation. That's it. And Loom lets me do that really quickly and easily. So I can pull up a screen share and walk through pricing. I can explain comparables, review market conditions, talk through options with a seller. I can answer a buyer questionnaire in a more thorough way than just a rushed text. I can prepare a client follow-up after a meeting so everything is clear. This saves massive time. I, in fact, ended up terminating a client relationship with Loom. And it's not like I'm into firing or anything like that. It's just the expectations weren't there. And instead of just sending an email saying that we're no longer going to be working together, I recorded a 5-minute Loom video that was genuine, that was authentic, that came from the heart, but clearly shared how there was a gap between how I conduct my business and what their expectations were. The reply was amazing. They understood, they accepted it. They wrote me a 5-star Google review on all of the work I did, and then they moved on. In fact, they asked me for a referral from another agent that could look after them. So I made a 25% referral, I got a Google review, and I got my time back, all from sending that message from Loom, not by an email, not from a text. It's incredible. If you're not using it, look it up, Loom. There's a free version and then a paid version. I like the paid version because it opens up more access to some of the tools where you can actually highlight as you're speaking. I'm big on that when I'm talking to people in a video format. So check it out, loom.com. It's amazing. I'm going to record a video on it shortly. So be sure to keep following along on this channel. But Loom, by far, it will change your world. Clients will be getting the context of it. It's visual. They'll get the tone, and they're getting something that they can replay over and over. They're getting it without friction or trying to, coordinate another call or understand, like, is Liam just chat GPTing a email response to me? No, this isn't AI. This is me recording it, sharing what it is. So using tools like Loom is not about doing less for people. It's actually doing more. It's about serving people better, faster, with less wasted motion. That's a completely different standard. Loom makes my appointments better also. This is another big one. Loom doesn't just save you time, it makes appointments better because a lot of appointments are bloated. Half the meeting is spent getting people up to speed on things that could have been understood before the meeting even started. But if I sent a Loom ahead of time, here's what I'm seeing, here's the comps, here's the pricing logic, here's the options, here's what matters. By the time we get together, we can cut right to what challenges they have, the motivation they have. And we're at the decision-making time instead of the first 45 minutes of fluff that typically happens in a meeting. That shortens meetings, it sharpens meetings, and improves meetings. And when you multiply that across your entire business, it matters a lot. And this is how you can create time without sacrificing service, not by caring less, but by communicating better. Another thing I do is I don't chase everything. This might be the biggest mindset shift of all. I don't chase everything. I'm not trying to be everywhere. I'm not trying to answer every call instantly. I'm not trying to give every task the same weight. I'm not trying to build a business based on reaction. I know what matters most, what drives results, where my best energy should go. And I know what can wait and what can be handled and what does not deserve to interrupt my family time. That's really what matters. Not just knowing how to sell, knowing how to operate your business. Because after 24 years in real estate, you realize something. Sure, talent matters, work ethic matters, skill matters. But without operational discipline, your business, well, it will always feel harder than it needs to be. And I don't think enough agents hear that. I don't think the answer is more hustle. Actually, I know it's not. A lot of time, the answer is just a better structure. So yes, you can build it this way. I want to say this clearly because I know there are agents watching right now who are thinking, sure, Liam, you've been doing this for so long. I'm in the thick of it. I can't. Maybe your schedule feels messy. Maybe your phone owns you. Your business is bleeding into every evening and weekend. You've convinced yourself that this is simply the price of success. Well, it doesn't have to stay that way. Can this business be demanding? Absolutely. Can it be intense? You bet it can. But can you build it in a way that gives you more control, better boundaries, stronger systems, more presence at home or in your personal life? Yes, you can. I've been in this business since 2002. I'm 44 years old. I'm still actively selling. I run a micro team. I personally sell 50 plus homes a year. I've got a young family, and I'm telling you this from real experience. It's possible. It's not perfect. It's not effortless, but it's possible. And once you believe that, you start making different decisions, better decisions, decisions that help your business grow without asking it to take everything from you. That's the point. Most agents don't lose time because they're lazy. They lose time because they're unclear on pricing, unclear on prep, unclear on strategy. And then everything slows down. Clients get confused, appointments get longer, follow-up gets messier, and the whole business gets heavier than it has to be. That's why one of the most important skills you can build in this business, learning how to do a CMA properly. Because once you can look at the data, interpret the market, and explain value with confidence, everything changes. Your appointments get better. Your advice gets sharper. Your clients trust you faster. Your business gets more efficient. So my best recommendation to you is watch this video right here. Exactly how I do my comparative market analysis, even if you're a new real estate agent, because that skill saves you time, wins trust, and makes you a much stronger agent. Check it out right now.